Hello, welcome to Space Oddities. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday evening, getting near Christmas now. And to celebrate the fact, we've got a bit of a full house tonight. Myself, obviously, Roger, and because we are 7 tonight, you'll guess what the image behind Roger is. And we are quite magnificent, as I think you'll agree. Then we have Michael, he's got a hyphenated surname, Michael Christmas Jumper. And welcome to the jumper, Mike. Hi, Daz, how are you?
Lovely, thank you.
Lanzarote.
Yeah,
you're not on hotel Wi-Fi, are you?
Sorry?
Are you on hotel Wi-Fi?
Yeah, it's holding up pretty well, but don't be surprised if I disappear somewhere.
Yeah, that's I've never seen hotel Wi-Fi work that well.
No,
so,
let's hope tonight because we're going back to the moon.
Dave Williams. I hope you're well, Dave.
Yep, thanks.
Obviously not. He's lost the power, so he's obviously not very well. We welcome back after a bit of a break young Tom, who's going to be telling us this evening about something I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, his wonderful Messier Planner application. And because he's expanded it and improved it and given it extra fruity goodness, Tom's going to be telling you all about that, because we think it's a fantastic tool, and we think as astronomers, viewers, you will love using it. So Tom's going to talk us through that. Last but not least, we have a musician among us. Lou, give us a tune. As it's Christmas, Lou's going to give us a tune as it's Christmas.
It's not a Christmas tune.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Well done, sir. Well done.
I'm glad YouTube cut that out for me.
Getting ready for St. Patrick's Day. Yeah.
And would you like to tell us what you're sitting behind?
Oh, this is our last successful lunar mission. Right here.
It's a bit small, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say it's only the first and second stage.
Oh, fantastic!
You know, it's the whole thing. It's
fantastic.
It's very gentle. So someday maybe it won't be, but for right now.
No. There we are. Well, what have we got for you tonight? We have, by pure coincidence, we thought that as humans are returning to the moon in, fingers crossed, February, we would do a bit of a special tonight about NASA's Artemis 2 mission, which is going to send 4 astronauts around the moon and back again. Their budget does run to that. So it'll be humans' first return to the moon since the Apollo era. And you can think of this as you like the Apollo 8 mission, where astronauts went around the room, probably did as well, went on the moon as a dress rehearsal for Apollo 11. And that's basically what's happening in February. This is a dress rehearsal for Artemis 3, which, all being well, will put humans back on the moon in 2027. Although brackets, times and dates may change. So, Sandra says you just got my cat's attention, Lou. This is fantastic. So there we are.
I'm not sure how to take that, but okay.
That's what we're going to be looking at tonight. We'd obviously like to welcome you all. Just see who's there. Astro Cape's here. Hi, Sandra. Obviously, hi, Sandra. Mike Beer's here. Derek's here, and a few others. So you are all very welcome. Now, just before I forget, don't forget that next week is our great Christmas quiz. Bring pen and paper. Michael will be hosting the quiz. And don't forget, we will be giving away a gift, which is a copy of the 2026 Yearbook of Astronomy, which is a fantastic prize. So come along next week, join in the quiz, win yourself a fantastic book. What more could you want? And also, we are going to do a show on the 30th of December. Obviously, that's the day before New Year's Eve. And we will be doing a review of the year, looking at some of the stories that have been in the news this year that are notable. We hope you'll join us for that as well. Obviously, it's Christmas. You might be busy with gorging yourselves and getting incredibly plastered and having to deal with your awful relatives. But we will be here on the 30th of December, Tuesday the 30th of December. So we hope you'll join us for that as well. In January, just a reminder that we have Dr. Alan Stern joining us as a guest some point in January. We haven't confirmed the date with him yet. We won't be confirming the date until after Christmas. But Alan Stern, the man behind basically the New Horizons flyby of Pluto, will be talking to us about that and what we've learned. There we are. Can't really see what that is, but oh, I see. Just about. Yes. There we are. Pluto explored. Fantastic. I read that backwards. Aren't I clever? So Alan, who we have chatted to before, will be a guest talking about basically what we've learned about Pluto since New Horizons. And if you have any questions for Alan about the New Horizons mission, I'm sure he'll be only too happy to answer them. And we will let you know as soon as we have a definite date for that, when that's confirmed with him. I haven't done any news this week. We'll be talking about a couple of things. Wasn't much in the news this week of note. Before I do get onto that, though, don't forget the normal stuff that we go through. If you want to support Space Oddities, and we will kind of like you to, because it keeps us going, you can always buy us a coffee, because astronomers' lives matter. And you can do that by scanning the QR code or clicking the link that's just appeared in the chat. That will take you to the Buy Me a Coffee page, when you can buy some caffeine. Much appreciated. If you would like to make a donation directly to Space Oddities, and again, as I always say, but I have to keep saying it, all the money that people are kind enough to give us goes towards keeping the channel running. And if you would like to do that, there's an icon under the chat window with a $ on it. That's the super chat icon. You can make a donation directly there. Also, the Space Oddities shop, where you can buy your fantastic, unbelievably wonderful t-shirts and hoodies. Bit cold for t-shirts at the moment, but you can buy your hoodies for the winter. And you'll find some variations of style and design there. Also, of course, don't forget to join our Patreon. We have a Patreon page, which is very simply patreon.com/Space Oddities, and you can join the community there. And just for a few measly pounds every month, you can help support the channel, help us bring you the sort of content that we like to bring you, and we hope you like as well. And just a few pounds every month will get you access to all our presentations that we deliver here on Tuesdays, and lots of other lovely stuff as well. So having said that, oh, Dave's dropped out. Dave's having connection problems tonight. We hope he can stay with us. Welcome back, Dave. Having said all that, I said there was no news. There's just one item in the news which you may have seen, which was a bit sad, really. NASA have lost content with its MAVEN mission around Mars after a long and successful mission. Lou or Dave, well, why would you like to talk about MAVEN a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it did its job.
Right.
Right. It had one job. It's like that guy who had one job to do, right? Essentially, where did Mars atmosphere go? And I think it provided the answer. Dave, any thoughts?
No, I mean, really, all they know is for one of its orbits, it went behind.
Dave's still having connection problems, I think.
And from supposed to have, made a communication.
Sorry, I can hear somebody typing. Can whoever's typing stop, please? Yes. Sorry, Dave does seem to be having connection problems.
A little.
Yeah.
Probably live shows.
You're very intermittent at the moment, Dave. So anyway, okay, all right. I think Dave, what was going to say was that MAVEN disappeared behind the back of Mars, and after that, it wasn't heard from again. But it's had a long, as Lou said, it's had a successful mission. His mission was to work out why Mars lost its atmosphere, and thanks to MAVEN, we know that it was because of the solar wind.
Largely,
yes. Sorry, not totally, but largely because of the solar wind. So it did its job. So, it's a sad loss when we lose any spacecraft, of course, but mission accomplished as far as MAVEN goes. However, of course, there's been a few stories floating around that it was closed down by the aliens on board Comet 3 Atlas Yeah,
I heard that.
Aliens again.
yeah, it's aliens again, as you might guess. But don't pay any attention to that, viewers. It's simply the fact that it's an aging spacecraft. We don't know what happened to it. We don't know why it lost contact, but it's done its job. So mission accomplished.
It sounds suspiciously like Marvin the Martian, don't you think?
Ah,
I didn't
Marvin the
know.
Martian. Yeah.
Marvin the Martian.
Not
Yeah,
cartoon.
Sandra, don't be silly. There aren't any Martians on Mars. All the aliens are on the comet. I mean, for goodness sake, how silly can you be? So,
I remember Marvin the paranoid android.
yeah, Marvin the paranoid android. Yes, absolutely. All right, so let's move on. So the first thing we're going to do, talk a little about Artemis 2. So as I said, this will be humans' first return to the moon since the days of Apollo. And, they're not going to land on the moon this time. They're going to go round the moon. So this will be the furthest humans have been from the Earth since the days of Apollo. And it's a dress rehearsal for Artemis 3 in 2027. It's obviously incredibly tragic that it's taken this long, most of our lifetimes, in fact, to get back to the moon. But it is what it is. And we all know that various reasons why it hasn't happened before this. But there you are. So I'm going to start with a look at the actual spacecraft itself. So just give me 1 second, and I will just put this up for you. Okay. So this is the NASA's Space Launch System launching the spacecraft with the Orion spacecraft on top of it. Now, you might know a bit about this, but basically the rocket is 98 meters tall. So it's just a little bit shorter than the Saturn V was, with an 8.4 meter diameter, 2 solid rocket boosters, 4 RS-25 engines, which are ex-space shuttle engines. They have cost a phenomenal amount of money, not just when they were initially bought for the space shuttle, but Dynetics, the company who have been refurbishing these engines, which they needed to because they've been sitting around since the space shuttle, they have been charging NASA $120 million per engine to refurbish them. So you've got nearly $500 million worth of engines there, which are going to launch and a few minutes later end up in the sea. There you are. Crazy situation, absolutely crazy, especially in light of today's reusable rockets. It's incredible. So there we have the first stage of the SLS. Then there's a spacecraft adapter to attach Orion to the first stage. Above that, we have, very proud, the European service module. The service module, remember the old Apollo service module? Well, this is the modern equivalent of the Orion spacecraft, the European service module and crew module adapter. The crew module, or capsule, if you like, I have no idea why they're calling it a crew module. It's a space capsule, for God's sake. Sits above that, and above that, the launch abort system, which equally you may remember the Saturn V launch abort system on the top. So that's basically the spacecraft. The engines between them develop a total of about 10 million pounds of thrust. So, it's a big push that this rocket gets, and it will lift off the pad fairly quickly as a result of that. And that's basically it. There's not more to say than that. So what I'd like to do now is to have a look at the astronauts who will be flying in the Orion capsule. So here we go. So this is the Artemis 2 astronaut biography. There are 4 astronauts. So let's have a look at who's actually be flying. So the commander is Reed Wiseman. Now, he's an experienced NASA astronaut engineer and a former US Navy pilot. He was selected by NASA in 2009, and he previously flew as a flight engineer on Expedition 40 and 41 aboard the ISS in 2014, where he conducted spacewalks and did some scientific research. He later served as chief of the astronaut office before returning to flight status and being named commander of this mission. He's going to guide the 4-person crew on a roughly 10-day mission around the moon and back. His background combines operational flying, test piloting, technical systems expertise, and astronaut leadership. So he's got the right stuff, as it were. The pilot is Victor Jerome Glover. He's a NASA astronaut and again a US Navy test pilot. He was born in 1976 in California. He has degrees in engineering and military science. He flew F-18 aircraft and served as a US Navy captain. He was selected as a NASA astronaut in 2013 and made his first space flight as the pilot on the Crew 1 mission, if you remember that, the first operational Crew Dragon mission to the ISS, where he served as flight engineer for 6 months. So he's going to be pilot of Orion on Artemis 2. And then we move on to Christina Hammock-Koch. She's a NASA astronaut and electrical engineer. She is a mission specialist selected for the astronaut corps in 2013 and later served as a flight engineer on expeditions 59, 60 and 61 aboard the ISS. She actually has the record for the longest single space flight by a woman, namely 328 days, and participated in the first all-female spacewalk. She has degrees in electrical engineering and physics, and she has research and engineering experience both in space science instrument development and remote field operations. So she's going to help evaluate the life support systems, science tasks, navigation and systems during the lunar trajectory. And lastly, another mission specialist, Jeremy Hansen. He's a Canadian astronaut and former Royal Canadian Air Force fighter pilot, born actually in London in 1976, but not London in England, London, Ontario. He earned degrees in space science and physics and served as a CF-8 pilot before joining the Canadian Space Agency's astronaut corps in 2009. He's participated in analog space training programs, including undersea missions and cave expeditions, simulating space conditions, and worked with NASA Mission Control as a communications specialist. This is going to be his first space flight, so he's the rookie on board, never flown in space before. Obviously, as we said, he's done simulations. He's going to be the first Canadian to fly beyond low Earth orbit, and he will be a mission specialist on the mission. So those are your 4 going to the moon in hopefully February, and there we are. So those are the four people. Obviously, we wish them well and hope that everything goes absolutely fine. So there you are. Oh, hang on, let's just put that back to how it was. Okay. So, any comments, guys? It looks like a really experienced crew, apart from the Canadian who's never flown in space before. I
personally, I think they're going to have to be an experienced crew because, I don't want to be a doomsayer. But there are a few firsts that are going to be happening on this mission, and one of them is basically the test of the service module.
Yeah.
Because in Artemis 1 it wasn't required. They had a couple of mannequins on there. So of course this is built by ESA and other people, but it's never been tested in space.
No.
Even in the Apollo era, they tested the service module in Earth orbit, whereas this time they're going straight off to the moon. I mean, I don't know whether they're going to be doing several orbits around the Earth to test all the systems beforehand. Yeah, because I mean, if you remember Apollo 7, which was known as the bad-tempered Apollo, because all the crew got flu. And they disobeyed orders and things like that. So, but of course they tested out the system, so at least they had one test. Then Apollo 8 went to the moon, minus the the lunar lander. And then, of course, then Apollo 9, if I remember, it went to it stayed in Earth orbit again, but they tested out the lunar lander systems in Earth orbit. So again, this is the first. They're going to be testing out all the systems on the service module, and also this will only be the second test of the Orion heat shield. Of course, the Orion capsule. Which actually is a relic, well, not a relic, it's from the Constellation system that was the old moon landing, the original moon landing project. But of course, when they tested it, the Orion capsule last time, they found that they had some severe charring and burning in the actual shield itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's going to be a lot depends upon this flight, to be quite honest. So it'll be very interesting, something really to watch. But yeah, it'll be lovely to see at least people go around the moon, if not land. So it'd be great.
Yeah, I think they think they've solved the issues with the heat shield. So let's pray that they have.
It's, I think it's good as well on the astronaut side to. It's good that they're acknowledging the inclusion of a rookie astronaut on the first crewed mission, as well as the 3 experienced astronauts. So to give the rookie experience. Yeah. In that mission as well. So
yeah, absolutely true. Absolutely.
Poor guy doesn't know what he's getting into.
No.
I see this maybe a little differently. They're going into a translunar injection orbit. Basically, there's nothing for them to do. They have lots of wonderful experience, and I suppose if they had to, something broke down, they'd have all the experience to create something, as they did with Apollo 13. But essentially, these poor people are guinea pigs. They will fly. They will have tissue samples and all kinds of metabolic measurements done. They will be exposed to massive amounts of space radiation. They don't have to do anything. The thing will fly itself, and then they come back to Earth, and we hope that they come back alive. So that's I think it's great. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, they are essentially guinea pigs, but somebody has to do it, I guess. Because,
Well, if you remember, the Apollo were all test pilots.
Oh yeah.
So, and so they were used to being guinea pigs.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
yeah, they didn't have anything to do either. So
Yeah.
but they're brave guinea pigs.
Let me just so you know what it looks like, where they will be living together for 10 days. Just give me 1 second. This is the interior of the Orion capsule. So, it's obviously a lot more room than the Apollo capsule. But you've got to be stuck for 10 days with 3 other people in there. So,
The only thing I can say about it is look how old school it looks.
well, there is that. There is
compared,
All the Apollo star switches on there.
Compared to SpaceX.
compared to SpaceX. I mean, all those switches and toggles and everything, and it just shows it's showing its age from, like I say, it was from the Constellation.
Are they using tablet interfaces like they do on SpaceX? Do you know?
Well, if you give me a second, I will show you. So let's just put this one up. I mean, they will be using screens, so it's not.
Yeah, it's not all. It's not
that old. There you go. So.
Oh yeah. But I was just thinking on the Dragon, each astronaut has got a tablet strapped to their leg or something, haven't they?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can see that this does look, you know,
It does.
very old school.
It does.
Compared to, you know, just those 3 monitors they have on the.
It's a bit. To me, it looks like just taking it out of the shuttle and put it into
Yeah. It's definitely shuttle era technology, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can see that very clearly.
I was at an American Meteorological Society conference 2 years ago. They had their conferences in January, so 2 years ago. And our speaker for the dinner, the keynote speaker, was a woman who, I forgot her name, but she was mission lead for Artemis and Moon, Mars, and beyond. And she showed us pictures of the capsule, and I raised my hand. I said, "You're kidding. You're going to keep, I mean, okay, a few days to the moon, I guess you can suffer inside something that size. But to Mars, months in a capsule that large, that's crazy." And I don't think I was any more diplomatic than that. And she said, "Well, we're looking at ways to get to Mars faster." Well, I'm sorry, that's not okay. Even if you could get to Mars in, let's say, only 2 or 3 months, in a capsule that size, 4 people,
it's not going to work, is it? It's not going to work. You're going to stir crazy. You definitely flip, I think. So I think it's apart from anything else, it's the complete lack of privacy, isn't it? You know.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing.
Well, Derek's just come up with a question. How do they use the loo? Well, there is no privacy as such, wasn't there?
You open the window, I think, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
that's the cheap seats, Lou.
yeah.
So they've got to be
Don't
strapped.
say Lou.
Garden.
Sandra did ask what date does it launch? I think we've only got a provisional date of February, isn't it?
Yeah.
April, I think.
April, is it?
It's more like
No, the latest thing is showing February.
yeah, but
That's subject to change, isn't it?
No later than April, something like that.
Well, hang on, I'll just check this. Give me a moment.
Apparently, they are going to use some tablets for computer information. They demonstrated a technology called Callisto on Artemis 1, which tested AI in brackets Alexa and video conferencing brackets WebEx on an iPad. Yeah.
Well, according to Spaceflight Now, the earliest date they will launch is February the 5th. So
well, Derek's still holding on to the toilet thing. He said, "Is there no head?" Well, there is, because if you remember, they had to, when they sent up the International Space Station using the the Dreamliner? I can't remember what it's called now. They had to leave some of their luggage behind because they had to take toilet parts up for the International Space Station, so they had to leave some of their personal belongings behind, if you remember.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a lavatory. Let's put it that way. But privacy is a luxury. How about they actually go about that, I'm not sure, because I know it's one of the questions that came up with the SpaceX launches with the crews. What was it, Gerard's crews, because they had females with them, and that was one of the questions that kept popping up.
Yeah, so
with that,
it came up on the BBC the other day with Tim Peake. Children were asking the same question.
I mean, there aren't that many luxuries up there once you're up there, because there isn't room. So yeah,
there's no cable TV. I think that's
no.
Don't get BBC. They need a license.
Might not have a BBC, son.
I'm reading the following. NASA's Artemis 2 mission, first crewed flight of the Artemis program, is scheduled to launch no earlier than April 26, with potential launch windows opening as early as February 26. Well, that doesn't make much sense.
It doesn't, does it?
No sense.
So basically,
I mean, the launch is built. I mean, what are they hanging about with?
So basically, they're saying they can launch in February, but it's more likely to be April, but it could be February.
Yeah.
Basically.
I just want to say we're ready to go right here. We're ready to assembled and on the launch pad.
Yeah. Well, they've got one. They've got one in the museum. Just stand
Well,
upright and like the blue touch paper. Let's go.
Like
That
this
reminds me of a lovely program I saw about amateur rocketeers. I think it was on the BBC. And you had the Americans with their incredibly sophisticated homemade rockets having a competition in the desert. And then it showed, and these rockets are sleek and they're well designed and they fly, really high into the sky, and they're fantastic engineering, and these people are brilliant who make these. Then they showed the British equivalent, right? Two old duffers standing in a field in dirty Macs with a plastic rocket by a foot pump pumping water into it, right? and it went into the air. It was just, I was just crying with laughter. So well done, Americans, for being so clever about that. So, but there
We
we
don't
are.
have a sense of humor. That's our deal. We don't.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on. He's gone. Hang on. He's Dave.
I have a quick question, actually.
Yeah, go on.
Maybe Lou or maybe Dave could answer this. Whatever happened to that kind of centrifuge thing that they were thinking of doing, where it crawled the rocket round and then shot it off at a specific moment?
Oh,
that's
Spin launch.
the spin launch.
Not for
Yes.
Spin
humans.
launch.
Well,
the last I heard
You'd
was on a
feel pretty
scrap
sick
heap.
after that, wouldn't you?
Is that still
Yeah,
going
the last I heard it was on a scrap heap.
Right. So
They
basically,
kept,
Yeah, the scrap heap.
yeah,
Yeah, I think the
I
scrap
think
heap.
it kept sending them through the side of the big centrifuge thing.
basically what happened was that they needed to scale it up drastically if they wanted to do orbital launches.
Mm.
They tried to find a site somewhere in the world to launch from. Nobody wanted them. And then they basically ran out of money.
They couldn't
I'd
find
give it a
anyone
shot.
daft
But
enough
they're
to have it
still
in their
saying they will.
backyard.
Sorry?
Sorry, just they couldn't find anyone daft enough to have it in their backyard.
Yeah, they were looking at an island in the Caribbean, but that fell through for some reason. And they are still saying that although they've gone bust, they will return with a modified version, and that's it. But it was a great idea. But the successful flights they did make was not from a spin launch that was anywhere near big enough to get into orbit.
Mm.
But I'm not sure that was the goal. I think I could be wrong, but I think the goal was to get it up high enough that you've bypassed a significant amount of fuel, and then perhaps have some propulsion to take it the rest of the way. Is that accurate or no?
Well, not according to the documentary I saw about it. They did plan to get it into orbit directly from a spin launch.
Wow.
But of course, they also run into problem with G-force. There's no point launching something into space from that if it's going to be crushed by the G-forces. If the payload is going to be.
Can you imagine poor astronaut in there? His head would explode.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you would know. So there we are.
Flatronauts.
Yeah. Very good, Lou. Very good. All right. Should we move on? Things get a little bit out of control here. You can tell it's Christmas. Right. What are we doing now? Dave, we're going over to Dave. I think. Now, the next bit we'd like to tell you about is the mission profile, which is what actually is going to happen during the mission. So over to you, Dave.
Okay, thanks. And I hope the connection problems aren't going to affect us too much. All right, so let's see. I got to pick a screen. All right.
Mm-hmm. Your connection seems fairly stable at the moment, anyway. He said as he froze.
Okay, good. Now,
So,
yeah, right.
Put that up here.
Are you seeing the screen yet?
There you go. Yes, we are.
It's up. Yes. Oh, there it is. Okay, now I can see it.
Yep.
Oh, I got this lag. Okay. All right. Okay. So Artemis 2 mission plan. I going to start doing that. Okay. The vehicle, you already kind of did that, Andy, so I guess I don't really need to go into any detail here. It's the what they call the Space Launch System 1 crew vehicle. They have a Block 1 basically transport vehicle, and then they have a set of Block 1B and Block 2 modules, but this one will be the Block 1 crew vehicle. They have a specialized one. It's a little bit bigger to take basically just cargo, no people, and the idea would be to drop stuff off at the moon for, people to use. But for this one, it's just going to go to the moon orbit and come back. So, okay, it can take 27 metric tons to the moon, about 14.6 cubic meters. The amount that is almost exactly off mass. One of the reasons why we haven't been back to the moon for a long time, besides, as Andy was mentioning, some of the cost of some of these components, but that gives you an idea. 2 million newtons of thrust, 8.8 million pounds. It weighs about 2,600 metric tons at liftoff, and it can bring 70 metric tons to orbit. And as you said, it was 98 meters high. So, okay. So, and then here's just an expanded view. It's got the 2 solid rocket boosters, which end up dumping into the ocean. 4 main RS run on liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen, which is kind of standard like Saturn V. There's interim cryogenic propulsion stage. It's basically the second stage of the thing. Once it gets into orbit, this is going to do a higher orbit and send it off to the Orion crew, and then. Okay, so the way the plan works is a quick view of it. I putting the whole thing in the slide made the type too small to read, so I'm going to go through it. But this is basically, if you can see, just the liftoff, quick couple orbits around the Earth and to the moon. But I will give you the details. I figured get a picture in your head of what it's going to look like, because it's just one quick flyby figure 8 of the moon. So launching from Kennedy Space Center sometime February to April. I guess we've already discussed that. Tickets to this, so I hope they'll cement it down a good date, and then I really hope they're going to launch it on time, because otherwise I'm going to go down there and it'll launch a month later, and that will not be happy. But all right, these RS-25 engines actually fire for 8 minutes after it launches, and then it will jettisons the service models and the launch abort system. All this while actually the engines are still firing, and then the core stage will shut down. It will separate from that upper ICP. It orbits the Earth twice, mainly to do systems checkouts. Okay, there's a lot of check out everything, all the systems. So they're testing all the systems. The first orb, 185 by 2,250 kilometers. It's about a 90-bit, so fairly elliptical. And then it will fire its the ICPS stage. Anyone who's uses Spaceflight Simulator or anything like that will recognize that obviously it's going to be fired at the apogee, or at the perigee rather, because it's 115 by 46,000 miles, or 185 by 74,000 kilometers. In other words, the perigee doesn't change. They're just using the engine to fire it at perigee to increase to the apogee. And then Orion will separate from the ICPS upper stage. The ICPS upper stage has done most of the work. Basically, getting into this orbit like that, getting to the moon now does not take a whole lot of fuel from this. Which actually, if you do space flight like that, you also know that intuitively, because once you get into a very high elliptical orbit, the next thing you know, you're firing your engine and you're like you're going past the moon before you realize. So it will then, so it separates from the upper. But it will use before it fires its engines to break out of the orbit and head to the moon. It's going to do this proximity operations test, which the basically the crew will put Orion in a manual mode. And up to this point, it's being controlled at Mission Control in Houston. Put it into manual mode. Then they will approach and back off, yes, basically this dead upper stage now, which is floating nearby in orbit. And they're going to test it for maneuverability and just basic handling so they'll be moving closer to the ICPS and back off and just get an idea of how in space, which they did a lot of back in the Gemini missions. They did an awful lot of that kind of stuff. They did these exercises with these Agena upper stages, which they would once they dropped, they'd launch specialized ones into orbit, and then they would practice these kind of proximity operations with the Agena stages. So we're a little bit old school here too. Okay, the control will get turned back to mission control, and then the checkout of all the systems will continue. Also at this point, take off the spacesuits. So the rest of the mission will be in shirt sleeves, basically, suits. But at this point, they're just like a normal, like you see the shuttle crew, just bouncing around in their plain clothes. This test of a radiation shelter, actually have a radiation shelter, say, on board, but they have a plan, and what they're going to do is they're going to simulate that there's been some written event, a solar event or a cosmic ray event, and the spacecraft does have a bunch of alarm systems and radiation measurement systems around it. What will happen is they have 1 hour to basically pull the stuff out of sort of the center part of the spacecraft, which is mainly storage of basic stuff, food, clothing, things like that. They're going to pull that stuff out, and then they're going to situate it all around the outside, along the walls of the spacecraft, in places where there is the shielding. So the spacecraft, or the bottom of the spacecraft, whatever you want to call it, is actually fairly well shielded from radiation. The spacecraft, the rest, a lot of the other parts, so they're going to arrange them so that they have the most protection from radiation, and then they basically huddle in the center of the spacecraft during this radiation event. It's not great. It's not optimal, but for at least many radiation events, this could at least make a difference for their safety. So they're going to test out this whole operation for this radiation shelter and see how that works. Then they
Dave,
then they
can
would
I just point out,
yes.
They don't have a radiation shelter, but they do have a Bible on board, so that will
right.
Yeah.
And billions and billions of people, billions of people on Earth
bless their heart.
praying from different religions. So how can that go
Thoughts
wrong?
and prayers.
But just in
Thoughts and
case,
prayers.
Lou, just in case,
That's his
just in
plan.
case they do the radiation shelter as a backup to the whole, a prayer thing or whatever. Okay, so anyway, they go into the translunar injection, and again, the service module engine, which is not a very big engine, but is to get them to the moon from this high orbit. Trip to the moon takes 4 days. They'll flip around the far side within about 7,550 kilometers of the surface and return to Earth. Now, during this time, and this is kind of cool because my office mate at Goddard is actually in charge of planning the photography experiments for the astronauts. He's been working with the astronauts for quite a while now about taking photographs through the windows and also making visual observations. And as they go around the moon, and they're not going to have a lot of time, they're going to be taking pictures through the windows and just making visual observations through windows of the far side of the moon, along with radiation measurements and things that Lou will be telling you about. But the one time the photography is right at the moon. And then after that, it's fairly simple. 4-day return. They separate from the service module. They dump their solar panels, and they. Oh, and by the way, the solar also will have little automated cameras of them, which will be taking pictures constantly over the course of the mission. Splashdown in the Pacific. Total mission time of about 10. Where we'll see how they do crammed into that capsule. People for 10 days, and as was mentioned by Lou and others, be interesting to see if anyone talks about how that's going to work for a longer mission. But for this mission anyway, it's about 10 days, and I guess that is it. Yeah, that's
Great.
So
Thank you
I hope you
very
can hear me.
much.
Held up.
Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah, we lost you very briefly a couple of times, but it's fine. Thank you very much for that, Dave. Very, very interesting indeed. So,
Questions in the chat? Yeah.
if you have any questions about anything tonight, then please put them in the chat. Don't see anything there so far.
What version of the Bible do they have, Dave?
Okay.
What version? Well, I suppose if the radiation shelter doesn't work, they could sort of tear the pages out and paper the inside of the radiation shelter with it. That might help.
only if it's made of lead.
Yeah.
So the thing is,
boy.
you talk when
Oh,
you were
boy.
joking about the radiation, and I know Lou's going to be talking about it in a minute. But if it is in February, even probably in April, I mean, the sun at the moment is in a phase where it's very active. And it's given us some surprises just recently, so that is going to be very important on this mission, all these readings and things like that. So hopefully they'll be safe. So yeah,
indeed. But this is all very reminiscent of Apollo 8.
Oh yeah.
Christmas 1968, which I think it's burned into the memory of a lot of people about how it was to see the Earth from the moon. Of course, the famous moonrise photo, although that wasn't the first moonrise photo, but it was the famous color one.
The first done by humans.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I believe it was the first moonrise photo, but it would have happened on previous orbits, but they didn't see it.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, well,
Moonrise photo. That was what I should have said.
Yeah. Just before we go any further, a quick word from our sponsor. This video is sponsored by Picastro. It's like Instagram for space nerds. There you go, Tom. Thank you for sponsoring Space Oddities. We are much appreciated.
Hey.
Yeah. So we're going to go to Lou now, and Lou's going to tell us a bit about the science behind this whole mission.
Thanks, Andy. When Andy and I discussed this, I said, yeah, I can do a presentation on the science. It'll be a short presentation. But there is actually something to be done. And by the way, as you'll notice, the Saturn V that was near me, it's already launched. We're not sitting around waiting. Anymore. It's already launched. Yeah. So I think what we're seeing is that we're doing this all again. Okay, we've done this once. We're doing it all again with some different rockets and different crew quarters and this kind of thing. But essentially, we are looking at sending a trash can into space with 4 people, and we're going to see how healthy they are when they come back. That's kind of a in a nutshell. Okay. So I think we'll talk a little bit about the science. They are going to be doing a lot of human testing. Sleep studies are going to be done, stress studies, cognition studies. They'll be given little tasks to do and see over the 10-day period, roughly 10 days, how well they perform. And this will be used not only for future lunar missions, but to get some sense of what's going to happen in Mars missions. So I should point out that, and we'll talk about this in a moment, this is a 10-day mission. We've spent a lot more time than this in space, in low Earth orbit. But that is in a different radiation environment. And I will suggest to our audience that the biggest thing that can happen on this is to test out the systems and the people's responses to space radiation outside Earth's protective atmosphere, outside of the Earth's magnetosphere. So we're going to talk about that. But just kind of as an overview, we're going to dive pretty heavily into the space radiation environment and talk about that. But there will be studies done on how the mind and the body behave, and how the crew behaviors vary throughout the mission, and various physiological monitoring that's done. There'll be system validations done with testing the life support system, the environmental controls, of course, the advanced radiation shielding that we just went over, and other critical pieces of hardware that the crew will need for a deep space environment. And so they'll be collecting data on this, on certainly all the solar radiation and galactic radiation. I want to make a comment, Daz. I want to make a comment in a moment about what you said quite accurately, that we're very near solar maximum. There are optical communications that will be demonstrated, high bandwidth laser communication. They will be tested, and some advanced imaging that will be done using some onboard cameras for geological assessments, scouting potential landing sites, and this kind of thing. The comment I wanted to make, Daz, is you are absolutely right. We're going during a period of relatively high solar activity. That has pluses and minuses, and we'll be talking about this in a minute. The pluses are that the solar radiation, particle and electromagnetic radiation, the negatives are that they will be at a maximum. But when the sun is active, the heliosphere does a better job at protecting against galactic cosmic rays. So the galactic cosmic ray flux will be lower. And I'm sure they've taken all this into account as they're looking for their launch schedules. All right, let's move on here. And let's see, can I do it? Here we go. Okay, so you've seen this already. This is a planned 10-day mission for astronauts to the moon and back. This is not to scale. The moon is 30 Earth diameters away, right? So the moon passes through the Earth's magnetotail. It's not shown here, but we'll show that in a minute. And so it is both inside the Earth's magnetic field and outside at periods of time in its orbit. Moving forward here. Let's see. Blink. There we go. Here's the crew. I think I have this in the right order, Andy. Jeremy, Reed, Victor, and Christina.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
So here's the deal, dear friends. Astronauts absorb significant amounts of radiation on their missions, far more than on the Earth's surface, with doses that vary by mission, of course, but often equating to years of ground-based exposure in just a couple of months. Typically, this is in the tens to hundreds of millisieverts. Now, there are a lot different ways of measuring radiation. There are rads and rems and sieverts and grays, but we're going to use millisieverts as much as possible here so we can make comparisons. And this leads to a career limit of about 600 millisieverts total. And they wear dosimetry badges. And once those badges register 600 millisieverts, in even multiple missions, that's it. They don't fly anymore. And that's based on largely on increasing cancer risk. And I think that increased cancer risk is kept to about 3% above the global norm. So deep space missions like Mars, going to Mars, which takes many, many months, face much higher and potentially unmanageable exposures that exceed earthly safety standards. And so that's something to be talked about at another time on how you protect in a Mars mission. ISS exposure, 6-month ISS stay might yield something like 80 to 160 millisieverts. Earthlings, we all get around 3 per year. We just mentioned the NASA career limit risk caps the excess cancer risk at 3%. And whoops, what's happened?
Where's that come from?
I think it's Dave's.
Oh, where did that come from? 1 second. Let me just.
You'll find it.
There we are. Sorry, Lou.
That's okay. And then just to finish this off, short-term events like intense solar storms could provide as much as 250 millisieverts per event. So that's actually a great unknown. Okay. So what we're seeing is that the effects of harmful space radiation are one of the biggest concerns. In fact, it is the biggest concern for long-term space flights, either within the Earth's magnetosphere or certainly outside. What you're seeing here is a graph of radiation dosages that might be expected on the lunar surface. During a stay on the moon's surface, these astronauts would be exposed to elevated radiation levels due to the lack of substantial atmospheric, the Earth's atmosphere, and magnetic shielding compared to the Earth's surface. The atmosphere actually does a fabulous job of filtering out high energy particles and almost all high energy radiation. We get a little bit of UV through. The atmosphere does a good job of deflecting charged particles and those high energy particles. The absence of magnetic field and atmospheric shielding allows cosmic rays of all energies to impinge on the lunar surface. Inside the continuous exposure to galactic cosmic rays, which increase the risk of cancer and mortality, and exposure through particles emitted in sudden non-predictable solar events called SPE, solar particle events, can also occur. These SPEs, by the way, show an enormous variability in particle flux. So that's another unknown that has to be planned for, as well as a breadth of energy spectra, and have the potential to expose space crews to really life-threatening doses. On Earth, the contribution to the annual terrestrial dose, we were saying about 2 to 3 millisieverts. By cosmic radiation, it's about 1/6, whereas the annual exposure from galactic cosmic rays and the particles the secondary particles they create on the lunar surface is about 380 millisieverts.
Wow.
And that's during solar minimum. And as we mentioned, during solar maximum, the heliosphere protects us a little more. So during solar maximum, GCRs are usually around 110 millisieverts. The idea that you can just go to the moon or Mars is really fraught with difficulty. And it means that not only on the surface, but in transit, you have to protect the astronauts and monitor their radiation dosages. The measurements on the lunar surface that performed during the Apollo missions cover only a small energy band for thermal neutrons, and they're really not sufficient to estimate the exposure that astronauts, the broadband exposure that astronauts are getting. However, some recent data were added by the Radiation Dose Monitoring, or RADOME, instrument on the Indian Chandrayaan mission, and the Cosmic Ray Telescope called CRATER on the NASA LRO, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter mission. All right. So here's the situation. Let's look at some of the sources of radiation. Galactic cosmic rays are penetrating protons and heavy nuclei. They're mostly protons, in other words, hydrogen nuclei, some helium nuclei as well. And they're fairly continuous in their occurrence. They're omnidirectional, varying in flux, with based on the solar cycle, as we just talked about. Lower levels during solar maximum. Shielding is not really very effective due to secondary radiation produced in the shielding and the tissues. So the countermeasures have to do with a lot of biological uncertainties, just a whole cloud of understandings of effectiveness of possible mitigations that have to be relied on. So those are actually the toughest problem. Another kind of solar radiation hazard for the astronauts is solar particle events, or SPEs. These are low to medium energy protons. They're infrequent because they occur as a function of solar storms, largely near the peak of solar activity. The lunar surface provides a significant protection versus free space. You can provide shielding of 5 to 20 grams per square centimeter of aluminum or polyethylene, and that is actually quite effective in protecting against this particle radiation, and is optimum in terms of reduced weight. So shielding, monitoring accurate events with dosimetry, and reporting to alert the crews in terms of solar events is what you do there. There is also the potential for trapped particle radiation to be a problem. Now, this is not as much a problem in a lunar mission because you're going to move through the Earth's magnetosphere fairly rapidly. But the inner magnetosphere is composed of 3 populations of charged particles that are trapped in Earth's magnetic field. These particles move in circular motions or gyrate around field lines, but they don't generally interact with each other. This is ring current, which is a population of medium energy particles that drift around the Earth. Plasmasphere, the plasmasphere, it's composed of low energy particles that drift up from the ionosphere, forming a sphere-like reservoir. And of course, the Van Allen radiation belts. These consist of high energy particles that are trapped in 2 regions around the Earth. These are problematic, but not difficult, because you have a fairly short time of pass-through when you're going on a deep space mission. So this is not viewed as a real problem for lunar missions. Okay. Well, what does it mean to be on the moon in the Earth's environment? The moon regularly enters Earth's magnetosphere, passing through it for maybe 3 to 4 days each month. During this period, the moon is located within the Earth's magnetotail. This is the region stretched out by the caused by the solar wind blowing blowing against the Earth's magnetosphere. When the magnetosphere, when it's in the magnetosphere, the moon is temporarily shielded from direct flow of the solar wind, but instead it's exposed to low density hot plasma found within the magnetotail. The interaction with the plasma causes lunar surfaces electrical potential to become very highly dynamic. So you can have dust kind of upwelling from dust particles upwelling from the surface, sometimes spiking to several hundred, even 1,000 volts on the night side. Let's see. Okay, that's all I want to say about that. So what do you do? Artemis has advanced sensors that were not available on Apollo. There are cabin sensors located throughout the crew vehicle. They are the M42 EXT radiation detection instruments. And so they will measure radiation, both in terms of electromagnetic radiation and particle radiation at different places in the cabin. But each astronaut also carries a personal dosimetry badge, I think, and that will track their cumulative radiation exposure in real time. Okay, so really, they're kind of guinea pigs here, all right? And during this 10-day mission, they're going to see what happens if there's a solar storm or no solar storm, how much radiation they are exposed to, and at the same time measuring all of their biological processes, as well as cognitive processes, to see how they perform and how they are affected by the not long-term duration, but also the radiation hazards. So we've seen this again. If there's no atmospheric shielding, this is a problem. We have Apollo mission data that helps us understand what the predicted problems will be with radiation, as well as ISS crew data. The solar events, the solar storms, are unpredictable, and even a given solar storm, CME or flare, has a unpredictable range of impacts. So it's a problem, and this is just for going to the moon. But what about Mars, you ask? Well, since you asked, here's a chart, again, measuring radiation exposure in millisieverts, that talks about the kind of exposures that you would get at sea level, regular on the Earth. Going up the chain, by the way, CT scans give you a lot of radiation. Don't do too many of those in your life. 6 months on the ISS, where you are inside the magnetosphere, and then a trip to Mars. Notice that 180-day transit to Mars is quite similar to 500 days on the surface. And that's because the surface of Mars provides some shielding from high energy radiation, but not a lot. So this is kind of beyond the topic we're talking about today, Artemis 2. But Artemis 2's goals are both to see what it's like to venture out of the Earth's magnetosphere, see what it's like to go to the moon, and what the stresses are on the astronauts, as well as to help plan for a future Mars mission. So the vision is, we send Artemis 2 in 2026. We measure the heck out of the astronauts. Lunar Gateway is still here. I'm not sure if that's actually going to survive, but that would be for Artemis 5 mission. Artemis 3 in 2027, I think that's optimistic. 2028, 2029 is what I'm thinking. And then Mars missions. Mars missions are always a decade away, so in the 2030s.
Mm-hmm.
So my hat is off to these brave people for donating their bodies to science. We will see how they do. I'm very interested in following the mission.
Great.
That's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lou. Yes, yes. Let's try and be optimistic. Eh? Let's assume that nothing bad is going to happen to them. But you know, as we said, they are guinea pigs. I suppose we have the technology now, Lou, to measure the radiation environment much more accurately, perhaps, than during the days of Apollo. We know
yes,
more about
those sensors will be on the spacecraft and on the astronauts, much more accurate and more broadband as well.
Yeah, sure. Right. The question from Derek. Oops, sorry. Derek says, does this mean that the Chinese instruments have extra protection against radiation because when it's facing the sun during our new moon, it's getting increased levels?
All sensitive electronics on robotic spacecraft or human carrying spacecraft have radiation hardened electronics. And the amount of radiation hardening is kind of balanced with the expected dose. So for example, when we send robots to Jupiter, right, we know the Jupiter magnetosphere is a very harsh radiation environment, so it takes more of an effort. Yes, but anyhow, nothing would perform well outside in Earth orbit or outside Earth magnetosphere if it wasn't radiation hardened.
Sure.
Is it the JUICE probe that's going out? They're concerned that maybe some of the instruments on there may not be radiation protected enough. I know there's one of them when they go out there. There was a bit concerned that they may not.
Wasn't it the transistors they were worried about?
Yeah, something about that. Something about that they were concerned that they wouldn't be able to survive the harsh radiation. But also, I mean, I don't know how true it is, but they tend to, when they build these probes, a lot of these satellites and all that, they tend to use old systems and old boards and things like that because they're
tried and true is what the engineer would say.
That's
that's
right.
They've all been tested.
Yep,
they've all survived. Yeah. So they use old stuff.
Yeah,
Don't
they
put
have
new
rules.
stuff on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the old stuff is good because the density between I mean, I don't know how to talk about this exactly. The density and the distance between electronic paths on the chip is larger, and that means that the SEP, the single event upsets from a proton, running through your IC chip are less less of a challenge. Dave, does that sound right to you, Dave?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, that's exactly right. And they have a rule. It really, stuff has to have been used for X number of years, depending on what it is, at least at NASA. And I bet ESA has a very similar before they'll allow it to go into space. Yeah. And it's true. Although, the other thing too is you can see lighter weight components have less and less mass, and that means less and less resistance to being upset by radiation. So they do have to balance that as well. I mean, it's nice to have lightweight stuff when you're taking stuff into space, obviously, but you can go too far with it, I guess, and it can be dangerous.
Yeah. Okay. So thanks, guys. That's all we wanted to tell you about the Artemis 2 mission. If there are any developments with the mission, especially the launch date, we will, of course, keep you posted. But here's fingers crossed and good luck to the 4 astronauts for taking part in this admittedly hazardous mission. So,
and we will be covering the launch.
Absolutely we will. Yeah, we will be covering the launch. Regardless of what time of the day or night, we will be covering the launch live of Artemis 2.
What do you mean? Regardless of what time of day.
All right, Grandad. You don't have to be there. You can go with your Horlicks and your slippers and your pipe.
It's all right. It's all right. We can do Michael with AI.
Yeah, I thought we were already.
I'm going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
With that jumper?
That we must be.
That jumper's AI, Michael, wasn't it? That
Yeah.
jumper's definitely AI.
Yeah. So anyway, we will keep you posted, and thanks to Lou and Dave for all that really interesting information. We're going to move on to Roger in a second, and just before we do, you may remember that a couple of weeks ago we started a Just for Fun competition to find the top dog as far as photographing the constellation of Orion goes, photographing with a mobile phone. Well, the competition was due to end yesterday, but because we've only had a couple of entries, and we know that people have not been getting good weather, for astrophotography, especially in the UK, where it's been pretty dire, we've decided to extend the competition by another week until the end of next Monday. So here's the plan. You just go out on a clear night, if you've got one, with your mobile phone, take a photograph of Orion, mail it to us, and we will ask the viewers next Tuesday, to choose the winning entry. As I said, this is not going to win you a prize, but it's going to earn you the admiration of everybody in the entire world for your photograph of Orion. And Tom is going to enter, but unfortunately the competition closes next week, so he hasn't got time to go out and take a photograph if he starts tonight. So we will, of course, be bringing you that next Tuesday. Don't forget, just another quick plug for the quiz next Tuesday. Bring your pen and pencil or chalkboard or whatever you want to the quiz. Michael will be hosting the quiz.
Hey.
We're, just end of the year fun, basically. So the astronomy quiz, but you can win a prize with this. The winner of the quiz will be earning themselves a lovely gift, the 2026 Yearbook of Astronomy, which is, as you may know, Brian Jones from Space Oddities. It's his publication. He's been doing it for decades, basically. And it's a wonderful book, which contains not only information about sort of the night sky in 2026, but lots of interesting essays and articles as well. So that's a lovely prize, set you up for Christmas. So come along and try and win the quiz next week. Okay, let's move over to Roger then, who's going to give us our normal look at
I thought it was David's turn with this week.
Oh, is it? Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Okay. You're only trying to delay the inevitable.
I guess that's
Roger,
what
that's all.
I have.
So, right, change of
Some point
plan.
ahead, yeah.
Change of plan.
All right.
Let's go over
If
to
that's
Dave
okay, I will.
for this week.
Okay. Why is it not giving?
Can't see
Okay,
it
here
yet.
we go. Yeah, I'm
There we
sorry.
are, got it
It's
now.
being recalcitrant. All right.
There you go.
Okay. This
There you
week. Oh, actually, yeah. This was actually a good week for solar system exploration. Okay, and first off, take you way back. So December 14th.
Oh,
which would have been
wow.
a couple days ago. Tycho Brahe was born, right? 1546.
Wow.
You could do the math in your head. I didn't, but that's a long time ago. And I'm not, we say a lot about that. I think most of you have heard of Tycho Brahe. I mean, observational techniques and equipment of, he changed everything. Basically, he changed the way that things were done. And had this giant Borg observatory built, which was really the first thing that was built in an observatory, but without a telescope. And of course, all observatories since then have telescopes. But he did all this amazing work. I mean, apparently was charting stars within arc minutes and things with just these basically this custom built equipment that he made and that he would be sighting through and measuring the azimuth and the angles and everything. So anyway, that's just
What a guy. What a guy.
Here you go. Yeah, that's something, and quite an interest too. But I won't go into that today.
Yes, he lost his nose in
okay,
his
so-
duel, didn't he? He lost his nose
Exactly, that's
in
right.
duel, and he had a
Yeah.
metal nose.
Yep.
I hate when that happens.
and a medal.
Yeah,
Apparently-
yeah.
Apparently, he was quite a. He was quite a. He was quite a party anyway.
Yeah.
The first spacecraft to ever encounter another planet, Mariner 2, on December 14th, 62. So that's what, 60 something, 63 years ago. Yeah. Okay. And it returned data on the atmosphere, the magnetic environment, charged particle environment, and the mass. It had no cameras, unfortunately, but and of course made measurements of the interplanetary medium. Basically found that there was no magnetic field of Venus, which was interesting and somewhat unexpected at the time. Kind of confirmed at least some ideas about the high surface temperature and high surface pressures, and that was still up to that point. It was fairly controversial what exactly the sort of the surface conditions on Venus were. Carbon dioxide atmosphere, this continuous cloud cover, that was fairly well known. But the altitude, then they could sort of measure it better, and it was a 60-kilometer altitude, and again, no detectable magnetic field, which was kind of threw people off a little bit because they were starting to get the idea that they understood that Venus was about the same size as Earth. It had a core, the same basically the same mass, very very similar, and yet no magnetic field. Was a bit surprising. Okay, December 15th in 1970. We have the first spacecraft to return data after landing on another planet. So a couple firsts within a couple days, or a couple days modulo, I guess. besides the few years between them, first spacecraft to return data. Originally they thought it didn't survive. They thought they lost the radio signal. When they went back and looked very carefully at the radio signals, they found this weak signal that transmitted for 23 minutes, and they actually did manage to pull some data off of it. They think it must have fallen over basically when it landed. The thing about Venera 7 was that every Venera before that, they had basically made the parachutes too big, and they never reached the surface. They didn't know quite how thick the atmosphere was, and the parachute slowed them down too much. This one, you can see that ring around the top was basically acted as an airfoil. So they had a parachute higher up, but they dumped it and let it basically float through the atmosphere until it landed, and that's how it made it to the surface. Even though it hit a little too hard, probably, and bounced. That is at least what is thought to have happened. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. All right, and we'll go back a little bit because I shouldn't let this pass, even though it's not solar system exploration history. I think it's interesting. Not much more to say about that. Orville and Wilbur Wright, absolutely, a major moment in history. Whether it's actually a spacecraft or not, I don't think matters. But to think about that was, 122 years ago, that this was the very first they could actually fly off the ground, and here we are sending probes out to past the edge of the solar system. No, I always love that.
Incredible.
Okay, also this week, and I talked about this last week, so I'm not going to go into it, is the end of the Apollo 17 mission was this week. I talked about the launch and the landing on the moon. They splashed down, and the Chang'e 3 had launched last week in 2013 and landed and deployed the U2 rover. Again, I talked about that. December 18th, 1958, the launch of the SCORE. This was the first large SCORE satellite. It was a communications satellite, but up to that point, they'd just launched like the Explorer 1, very small satellites. This was the first big one, and I actually should have written down the mass, and I didn't. I don't remember what it was. It was a large size satellite anyway, much bigger than anything launched before. NASA started this Moonwatch network, or part of the Moonblink thing, in December 20th, 1964, and this was to look for lunar transient phenomena. And it was interesting because they did, in fact, my two-time predecessor at the National Space Science Data Center, Winnie Cameron, was in charge of gathering all these lunar transient phenomena reports. And I've got this big notebook of handwritten reports of people who would observe the moon, and they'd see something. They'd see something change. They'd see either a flash, or they'd see what they thought was dust or things like that. And they'd record it, and it was remarkable how many of these were recorded by different people in different places at the same moment. We knew that it wasn't just either an atmospheric thing or an observer effect. So that was it was an interesting thing, and they actually, one of the very first, I guess, what you call citizen scientist things. On December 19th, 1973, this iconic photograph was taken of this giant solar flare from Skylab.
Wow, that was a big one.
That's amazing. I know. It's almost 600,000 kilometers, I think, across.
Wow.
So it's, yeah, I know. When you think of those pictures of the sun and the little tiny dot that shows you how big the Earth is compared to the sun, it's something. Anyway, and I think, yeah, everyone's probably seen this at one time or another, but it's just a remarkable photograph. And then Voyager 1 in 2004 on December 16th crossed the solar wind termination shock at 94 AU, made the first spacecraft to enter the helio sheath. In other words, the next region out. So from basically, depending on how you want to say it, left the solar system at that point, or it was later on when it left the helio sheath that left the solar system. But but it was a milestone in any case. The very first spacecraft to do that.
I mean, if you define the solar system as including the Oort cloud, of course, we haven't sent any spacecraft out of the solar system, so it does depend a bit.
That's right.
How you define the solar system.
Absolutely, and of course, everyone has their own or multiple definitions. I mean, I'm happy to accept multiple definitions, but this is sort of what they think of the sun's influence. I guess basically stops at the end of the helio sheath. Then they call it interplanetary space. But you're right. Of course, the gravitational effect is out into the Oort cloud. So yes, yeah. Anyway, that is this week. So thank you,
Dave. And as regards the TLPs, the transient lunar phenomena, I mean, I remember when I was young, there was a lot of controversy about whether these things actually existed at all. And there was a lot of resistance to the idea that astronomers, as well as professional, were seeing these flashes and other things on the moon. But just to show you that these things do exist, only this week, 2 undergraduates in Ireland happened to be videoing the moon when they saw something strike it, and there was a flash. So
okay.
Yeah. So these things can be observed by amateurs.
So to some extent, perhaps
take a while.
Having such a large moon may protect the Earth at some level.
Yeah, indeed. In the same way that Jupiter is thought to protect us from objects. Although there's been a bit of disagreement the last couple of years about whether Jupiter really does have much of an effect at protecting us from dangerous objects. But anyway, yeah. So yes, perhaps the moon is helping us by keeping these. I mean, nobody's ever seen anything really large hit the moon. They're all fairly small objects. But interesting.
On a time frame of a couple hundred years that we've been able to see.
True.
Yes.
Billions of years of.
Well, if you think about the late heavy bombardment, then
I
did think about that.
But that was 3.5 billion years ago. So all right then. Thank you so much for that, Dave. Much appreciated. Let's move on to Roger now, finally. And Roger's, as always, our stalwart of the night, our keeper of the night sky. He's going to be, if I can find, here we are. He's going to be telling us about just that. So, Roger, what's up in the night sky these days?
Okay, here we go for this week of the 16th to the 22nd. There we are. I had a telescope like that. Right, we're coming up to a new moon coming up on Friday, Saturday, so that will help any clear skies be clear of moon glow anyway. That's a good thing. So up in the night sky, we do have we still have some Saturn to see at a reasonable time when it gets dark, so all's good there. But we're now getting the dominance of Orion. Hurrah! So all's well and good with the world. Got Jupiter in Gemini, so that's another good plus. And as many people are aware, when the Jupiter gets up high, it's all well and good for us in the northern hemisphere. So it's doing its job being up so high for us all to see. So well done. But before sunrise, we've also got a reasonable height to be able to see it if you've got a low horizon. But Venus is getting a bit close to the sun, but will be visible just briefly before the sun does come up and cover all the glow. But there we go.
Marvelous.
But we've just hit the peak of the Geminids, but obviously with clear skies at the moment, there might be a chance this evening to still spot some. So keep an eye out for some Geminids as well. That would be good. Post them on. So obviously some information here that they came from asteroid 3200 Phaeton. So it's just a bit like a meteor shower from through that. So first seen in 1862. So
Wow.
a fairly recent historical shower there. So and we've also still got. We're just coming up to the point for interstellar comet 3I Atlas, and the less said about that, the better. So we'll move on, shall we? That'd be interesting to see. So we've also got the shortest day on the 21st.
Wow, finally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So things after here, the days will be getting longer. So.
Hey, summer's coming.
Boo! Boo!
You should be showing a picture of Newgrange there. That's
true.
That's
Right.
true. That's true.
Oh well, never mind.
Most of
Sorry
the
about that.
crazy people will be at Newgrange.
All right, but okay. So we've also got the Ursids coming up in the next week or so. So keep an eye out for that, and that peaks around a week's time. So keep an eye out for that. This one's got roughly 10 meteors an hour. And then we've got the Quantridids, which starts late December and peaks through into early part of January. So that's one of the more dramatic meteor showers that we'd like to see. So we've got it keeps coming up with 120 meteors an hour, but Geminids are usually probably about 10% of that, I would have thought, if you're lucky.
Yeah, if you like
And
it.
a clear sky, so just keep an eye out for anything streaking across. And if you get a picture, send the gallery.
Yep.
So here's the activity as of yesterday, just to give you a brief rundown of the activity that's running across the surface there. Not an awful lot of sunspots left now. They've pretty much cleared over to the western limb, unfortunately, but there is a bit of a coronal rip, almost north to south here, almost in one continuous line. So we'll see if there's any activity resulting from that from there anyway. So keep your eyes peeled. Okay, so we have a gallery, not a big gallery this week, but a gallery. But we always get our viewers to give in some superb pictures. And we've got one here from Sandra of the Orion Nebula with her sea star.
Nice. Great.
S30. Ooh.
Ooh.
So, yes.
Ooh. Come on then.
So, okay. Ta-da!
Wow.
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 That's brilliant. That's really good.
Yeah.
And the runner man looks stunning too.
And the running man, yeah.
Yeah, the running man as well. Look at that.
Yeah.
Just,
Wow.
just
Well done,
for the
Sandra.
Orion Orion picture competition? This is amazing.
Yeah, we must do that before winter's over, definitely. Have an
right.
M42 competition.
Yeah.
Well, I think we just found the winner, so what's the point?
Yeah. Well.
I'm
Tom will
current-
no doubt do about 300 hours on it as well.
I'm currently about 25 hours on it.
Get a life.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's one from me, which is not the moon or the sun. It's the
Hey.
California Nebula.
Wait.
So,
Ooh,
and that's what I've got.
Oh, I love that one.
that's nice, Ron.
Beautiful. The color is amazing.
Yes.
Hmm. So, yeah,
It's amazing.
I do other things as well, you know.
It's amazing what a red
Just
filter can do, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
AI.
Cheeky.
That's AI. It's fake, it's AI.
Yeah. So that's that. You're only jealous.
Yeah, that's all right.
But back to normal. One of the moon,
Another one from
and
me.
that's
Oh,
what
how
we've got
boring
for
is that?
there.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Nice, Rog.
Look at
Nice.
that.
I processed it a bit more dramatically to sort of get all the details of the surface out with all the rays from Copernicus and all the rest of it, and there we go.
That mountain range is brilliant.
Isn't it?
Mm.
Which mountain range is that? Remind me. Is that
The Apennines, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah, and just almost in the shadow there is the Apollo site of 15.
Oh, is it? All right.
Hadley Rill.
Hadley Rill.
Of course.
Ah,
That name rings a bell.
Yes, definitely.
Like,
And that's what we've got for this week.
thank you, Roger. That's fantastic.
Okay.
Well, as
All right.
always, viewers, thank you so much for your contributions to the gallery. Don't forget, you also get your own gallery on the Space Oddities website. Been having a few technical problems with the gallery with that recently, but I am on the case and I will fix it, promise. But anyway, if you would like to send your gallery, your images into the gallery, all you have to do, couldn't be simpler, simply attach them to an email, one image per email, please. Mail them to gallery@spaceoddities.space, and they will appear in our weekly gallery. And that's it, really. That's all we have to do. Don't forget the Space Oddities website, spaceoddities.space, where you'll find out what's going on and all sorts of other lovely stuff, as well as the individual galleries. So thank you very much for your contributions, and we hope we get some for next week. Speaking of which, just don't forget, just to mention it again for any late joiners, it's the great Christmas quiz next week, hosted by Michael.
Hey.
And who might even change his jumper by then, but we're not betting. So there we are. Have some fun, earn yourself a book. There we are. So next Tuesday at 8 p.m. UK, as always, here on Space Oddities. What we're going to do now is go over to Tom. And as I said earlier, Tom has written this lovely app called the Messier Planner, but he's been adding to it and doing all sorts of things recently. So, Tom, what exactly is going on with the Messier Planner at the moment?
I have no idea.
Okay,
There's so much going on.
okay, right,
So much
moving
going
on. So this is firstly an obvious question. Who is the Messier Planner aimed at?
So I struggled to find a place where I could log all the objects that I take, whether it's number of subframes or number of darts or number of objects that I've taken over several nights. Most people tend to write them down. So I wanted to create this kind of free web platform that people could use as a planner and a digital logbook.
Right.
So it's kind of that. It's like that. So it works on your. It's not an app this time. It's a web app. So it works on your desktop computer. It works incredibly well on your phone, actually.
Yeah, it's really good on the phone.
Yeah. So it's a digital logbook and planning tool, not just for Messier objects now. So there's about 1,000 objects in there, ranging from some of the ones that you might know to some obscure GUM and NGC and SH objects in there as well. So there's a ton of stuff in there for people to look at.
Right.
And it's a great reference tool as well.
Right.
Great reference tool.
Do you have a screen, or shall I
Yes.
on the screen?
Let me share.
I mean, just if you could just basically show people how to use it. I mean, I think it's fairly self-explanatory, but for anyone,
I've tried to make it really easy for people that are kind of just in to astronomy as well as astrophotography, but also make it enough for people that are a little bit more expert as well. So let me, hopefully I'll do this right.
Okay, let me just add that in then. Okay, there we go.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there is a little walkthrough on the web app anyway, so you can see my pointer, yeah?
Yeah.
So you can do the little walkthrough, and it'll tell you about the kind of basic functionality behind it. So the whole purpose is to allow people to plan objects that they're going to image over a 5-day period or over a month period or whatever it is they want to do. If they want to go away on a holiday somewhere, they can plan it on this.
Nice.
So it gives you, so it'll ask for your location first of all, and it's a good idea to make sure that you can manually do that, or you can let it auto locate you using geolocation stuff. It'll give you some basic weather things that's going to help you during an imaging process session. So the walkthrough will just talk you through that and let you know what each of the kind of features are, the kind of basic features. But as you say, Andy, it's fairly self-explanatory, so you can kind of take your time just to walk your way through it and just find out what's going to work for you. It will give you tonight's best based on your location and based on some parameters around what equipment so you can pre-populate your equipment as well. You can have up to 3 setups at the moment. I'm going to increase it to 5 because people have kind of bumped their gums a wee bit and said, I've got 5 telescopes. Can I have 5?
5 telescopes.
5 telescopes.
Yeah,
Who has 5 telescopes? So yeah, so I'm going to up it to 5. And there's little tool tips and little neat touches for people that might not know about imaging particular objects. So let me just skip that just now. So if you hover over that, it'll give you a rough indication of kind of exposure time and a rough indication to get a fairly decent image, whether you should do it in broadband or RGB or one-shot color, and whether or not the moon's going to affect it. Because a lot of these objects, when you're imaging them, particularly the brighter emission nebula and stuff like that, they're not really affected too much by the moon. So these little tool tips give you kind of top tips really to help you way through that. So and then on the homepage, there's lots of, it gives you a top 25 random objects based on the current almost 1,000 catalogued objects. But it tells you the object name. Actually, let's not show that because I've stopped to upload an image for that one. Let's use this one. So it gives you the object name, it gives you the short name, tells you what it is, obviously, it tells you where it is, and it gives you I call it a visibility map based on where it is now. So the little red dot there is where it is now in the night sky, and that's yellow dot is where it's going to be imaged at its best. If you click in, so that I actually talk about that as well, you can add it to your logbook in here, which I'll show you in a little second. It gives you a rough indication of how tricky it is to image, because galaxies are a lot harder than, as I said earlier on, bright emission nebula. And you can hover over that little tooltip which I added today that gives you some other objects that are kind of similar to it, and then you can add those to your logbook as well. This is it might take you about 15-20 minutes to go through this, but as you rightly pointed out, it's fairly self-explanatory.
Yeah.
You can click into an object and it'll give you a little planetarium about showing you where it is. It will show you the image. You've got a field of view simulator as well based on pre-populated equipment setups that you can put in, you can set up in your settings. It gives you a little description. It gives you the similar objects that are close to it or as high based on altitude that are good enough to image at that particular period in time. It gives you the visibility curve again. On the right hand side, you can change some settings. You can move around the field of view. You can switch off the moon reference, which will tell you what it is in apparent size compared to the moon. You can change your focal length. A lot of these things you can pre-populate, so you don't need to do it all the time, which is quite good. You can change the rotation of your field of view in your setup, and you can add it to your logbook. You can immediately just save it as an entry and go back to it at another time, or if you've already started imaging it, you can enter some parameters based on camera type, telescope type, filters, subframes, all that kind of stuff. Or you can import it if you've got it as a CSV. You can import it from a CSV. This is a very visual representation of what people would hold in an Excel spreadsheet, essentially. So it's making it a little bit more fun, a little bit more engaging.
Yeah, it's a lot more user friendly, isn't it?
A lot more user friendly, yeah. You can then click into, how long have I got? Have I got about 3 hours?
Carry on.
You can go into the catalogue, which lists, there's 932 at the moment, actually. I'm going to add some more later on tonight. You can filter via Messier, where it started off. There's some Caldwell, Sharpless, NGC, GUM, and RCW images in there as well. So you can just click them and it will highlight them for you, and you can go in and drill down in some of the data. I've been really lucky because there's been a lot of astrophotographers that have let me use their images as well, which is fantastic.
Great.
There's some NASA stuff in here as well. There's some which are all publicly available to use, obviously. I mean, is that an Adam Block image? That's an Adam Block image, which is just incredible, actually.
Wow.
Let's go back here. What else can we show you? The planner, which gives you a date range of, and it highlights the best times. And again, it's geolocated, so it's based on where you are at the moment. Or if you wanted to change that and you're going away to Tenerife next month, then you can put Tenerife area and depth coordinates into the planner as well. You can, there's so much here, I could talk about this all night actually, but I won't. And you can add it to your planning session, and it'll highlight it up there. You can then add it to your logbook from there, and then add in the details as you begin to image it. Let's quickly show you the logbook. So the logbook stores all the images that you've added from your planner. You can go into that and find the same. Actually, let me just edit that. Where's the edit? There we go. So you can add more details to that particular object that you started to image. I've also added a kind of planetarium kind of thing. So it's almost like a 3D version of a planetarium, with all the objects mapped based on their all as or their area and depth coordinates as well. So you can, it's even got a live mode, which I added today. You can switch on constellations. You can add some of the more important star names that make up those constellations. You can add the planets and the moons, and you can center on your own horizon, and you can flip it around. It's kind of cool. And it locks the horizon east to west as well. So
Okay.
you
Thank
can.
you, Tom. Thanks very much indeed.
So there's tons in there. I'm going to switch this off. How do I switch this off?
Well, hopefully you will have seen the address come up on the screen, https messierplanner.co.uk. So
yeah.
there we are. So
Good. Thank you, Andy.
yeah, really good, really
And
good.
it's free. And it's free.
And it's free. Yes, that's
and
the
it's
best
free.
thing. Yeah,
Free to use.
and we hope you get the most out of it, viewers. Hope you enjoy it, because I think having the catalogue and being able to make you observing notes in one place, I think it's a genius move.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times these things are kind of sporadically placed across the internet, and nobody's really pulled them together. So
yeah, that's right. That's
I
right.
wanted to make sure that it was. I wanted to make sure it was free. Actually, about 5 or 6 people emailed me tonight and said, "Can I pay you a monthly fee for it?" And I went, "Well, that's nice, but I really want to try and make it free for everyone to use." So
Yeah, absolutely. Well done.
thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, after all, Sir Tim Berners-Lee gave the World Wide Web to everybody for free.
Yeah. Well,
So there you are.
yeah. And look where we are now.
Yeah, perhaps we'll see you in the closing ceremony of the next Olympics. So there we are. Okay, right. Well, lastly this evening, we're going to move over to Michael. Now, Michael has done something really unusual for him. Apart from the jumper. He's actually done a constellation of the week that isn't absolutely minuscule. you can
Three
make
stars, is it?
yeah.
Oh.
Apparently his girlfriend wasn't happy. So he's done a.
No, it's at least 5 stars, Lou.
We'll see. We'll see.
Okay, let's put it up. So to
Okay.
speak. So
Where's my window?
Is it Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka? Is that what it is? Is it 3 stars?
Right, can you see that?
Oh, it
yes,
was close.
we've
Oh,
got
it was close.
Now, this
Cepheus.
week's constellation of the week is about Cepheus, the king of the northern sky, an ancient constellation that has captivated stargazers for millennia. Cepheus reigns as one of the most distinctive patterns in the northern celestial sphere, from its mythological origins to its revolutionary contributions to modern astronomy. This regal constellation continues to inspire wonder and scientific discovery. That's a screenshot from Stellarium. As you can see, it's next to Cassiopeia and Ursa Minor, which I'll come to in a minute.
Right.
The myth and legacy, named after Cepheus, king of Ethiopia in Greek mythology. This constellation tells the tale of divine punishment and cosmic redemption.
Don't they all?
Yes. The story begins with his wife Cassiopeia's boastful vanity, which angered the sea god Poseidon. The consequence was severe. Their daughter Andromeda was to be sacrificed to a sea monster. Only the hero Perseus could save her from this fate. Moved by the family's ordeal, Zeus immortalized them as all as constellations forever circling the northern sky in an eternal celestial procession. So this is a map showing the location of Cepheus. You can see you've got the Polaris there at the tip of Ursa Minor. It's actually joins as a boundary with Ursa Minor and the boundary with Cassiopeia as well. So if you locate Polaris, you'll find Cepheus at approximately 90 degrees from Ursa Minor, which you can see on the map there. Cepheus is therefore also circumpolar and visible all year round in the throughout the northern hemisphere. Okay, stars. As you can see, there are more than 3 stars in Cepheus. There's at least 5. I count 9, 10 stars in joined with the constellation lines. Anyway, the brightest star is Alderamin, Alpha Cephei, a magnificent white-blue subgiant star shining at magnitude 2.45, located 49 light years from Earth. Its name derives from the Arabic phrase meaning the right arm. Makes sense. It has a rapid rotation and spinning at an extraordinary speed, completing one full rotation every 12 hours, with an equatorial velocity of 246 kilometers per second, amongst the fastest known. So that's the alpha star, Alderamin. Then we have Mu Cephei, also known as Herschel's Garnet Star, discovered by William Herschel. This deep red hypergiant ranks amongst the largest visible stars in the night sky. Its distinctive garnet color makes it unmistakable through even modest telescopes. It's about 1,400 times diameter of the radius of the sun, and also has a luminosity of 100 Kelvin. So yeah, there we go. And most important star in Cepheus is Delta Cephei, the star that unlocked the universe. Delta Cephei revolutionized astronomy by revealing a fundamental relationship between a star's pulsation period and its intrinsic brightness. It's a yellow supergiant located 980 light years away. This luminous star pulsates with a remarkable regularity every 5 days and 9 hours. It fluctuates in brightness between magnitude 3.5 and magnitude 4.4 as it expands and contracts between 40 and 46 solar diameters. It's also a quadruple system accompanied by a blue companion star of magnitude 6.3 plus 2 other stars. And this star became known as the prototype Cepheid variable. The light curve of Delta Cephei shows the characteristic behavior of these variable stars, namely a rapid increase in brightness to a maximum, then a slow decrease to minimum. The time in days is on the x-axis, and the difference of magnitude with respect to the comparison star is on the y-axis. And this was found by Henrietta Leavis, whose name is inscribed from in the history of modern science as responsible for a discovery of a powerful astronomical method of measuring distances, the Cepheid variable star method. I think that's could be another topic for another time sometime.
Yes.
So that's Henrietta, one of the most famous lady astronomers in history. Okay, other notable stars: Gamma Cephei, an orange subgiant just 45 light years distant, hosting the exoplanet Gamma Cephei, or otherwise known as Tabmore, one of the first exoplanets discovered orbiting a naked eye visible star. Zeta Cephei, a luminous orange supergiant approximately 730 light years away, marking one corner of the constellation's distinctive shape with its bright glow. And RW Cephei, an orange hypergiant ranking amongst the largest stars known to science, with a radius exceeding 1,000 times that of our Sun. Okay, deep sky. First, we have the Fireworks Galaxy, a lovely galaxy, starburst galaxy, famous for hosting 10 observed supernovae since 1917, more than any other known galaxy, earning its explosive nickname. Then we have the Iris Nebula, NGC 7023, a stunning reflection nebula illuminated by a young star displaying delicate blue petals of cosmic dust that resemble an ethereal iris flower. Then we have the Cave and Bowtie Nebula, striking emission and planetary nebula showing intricate structures carved by stellar winds and intense ultraviolet radiation. And also we have the Wizard and Ghost Nebula, popular for astrophotographers, captivating star formation regions and dark nebulae, where new stellar generations emerge from vast molecular clouds. Okay, exoplanets. There's at least one confirmed exoplanet, Gamma Cephei, also known as Tabmore, which orbits the star Gamma Cephei A, known as Erai. This gas giant was first suspected in 1988 and confirmed in 2003, making it potentially the first exoplanet ever discovered. Okay, so you can see Cepheus tonight, and you know, if it's clear, go out and have a look. Look towards Polaris and Ursa Minor. Observing, use binoculars or a small telescope to explore bright stars and new Cepheus, for instance. And Cepheus is a constellation blending ancient myth, majestic stars, and profound cosmic mysteries. And I think that's it. So
Right, thank you, Michael.
Gosh.
Thank you very much indeed. That's another one then. Got another
Yes.
constellation of the week done.
Boop, boop.
me.
Roger's turn next week. I think. What have you got for us next week, Roger? Or haven't you decided yet?
He's muted.
He's muted.
Well, muted.
Uh,
He's still muted.
yeah, still can't hear you. Never mind. Never mind. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. There will be another constellation of the week from Roger.
Can you hear me, Mother?
We know not what. The suspense will kill me for the next 7 days. So there we are. But well done, Michael, for joining the Big Boys Club.
Hey!
So there we are. Okay. So I think we will. I think that does it for this evening. I think we'll wrap things up for this evening. Thank you so much, viewers, for being with us, and we hope you've
It's only
enjoyed.
1 minute past 10. It's only 1 minute past 10.
Yes. Well,
Well.
it's all time's relative, mate. It's 1 minute past 11 here.
Yes, I know.
So anyway, so viewers, thank you for being with us. Thank you for sticking with us. And we hope you've enjoyed tonight. And we'll look forward to the launch of Artemis 2 sometime between February and April. Fingers crossed, we will cover the launch live. We'll keep you posted of any developments with it. And thanks, Tom, for being with us tonight after a bit of an absence. And
You're very welcome.
showing
Glad to be back.
your wonderful Messier planner, which I'm sure many people are going to use. Elena in the chat says a great tool, by the way. I think she was talking about the application. So there we are. I don't know how she knows you, but there you are. All right then. So we will bid you good evening. Don't forget, quiz next week. Bring paper and pen, and we'll see you here at 8 p.m. UK next Tuesday. Have a fantastic week. Stay safe. Look after each other, especially with all that flu going around. Oh, I've got my flu jab tomorrow. Just reminded me. And yet another COVID jab. Don't think it'll do much, but there we are. So we'll see you next week, viewers. Thanks for being
Thanks,
here.
everyone.
Much appreciated, and we will see you next week. So from all of us at Space Oddities, have a great time.
Ciao,
And-
ciao.
All right. Take care.